GDP per capita continues to grow. AFC retains 9 seats. And ruling on NRF bill set for March. I'm Rico Beaufort, and this is Uncut News. Do you see news happening? Send us a tip on WhatsApp at 592-659-6151. According to JAGDIO, Guyana's GDP per capita is presently around US $17,000. This is an increase from US $5,577 in 2015, the year oil was discovered in Guyana. Guyana has risen many places in the world rankings of GDP per capita, joining colleagues in the Latin American and Caribbean area, such as Trinidad, Chile, Barbados, and Uruguay. Guyana, according to JAGDIO, is aiming for a per capita GDP of US $30,000 by 2030, but it will most likely attain US $35,000. On the way, he stated that Guyana must develop a diverse economy for this to even be possible. Despite warnings since October 9th of last year that they needed to relocate to make way for the new East Bank Road, Mucka Arcadia squatters rejected attempts by the Ministry of Housing to evict them yesterday, sparking a confrontation with scores of locals and opposition members coming onto the scene. Approximately 200 citizens, as well as opposition leader Aubrey Norton, Mayor Ubraj Narayan, and members of Parliament Sherwin Duncan, Nima Flubes, Ganesh Mahipal, and Coretta MacDonald were present during the 7-hour standoff with the ministry. Eventually, the police removed the protesters, which allowed the bulldozing to commence. On Tuesday, police arrested 26-year-old Romaine Travis Watson on the East Coast after a short car chase in Annandale. Watson was reportedly found with 4 car doors inside of his vehicle. However, this wasn't his first car-related crime, as he is currently before the courts answering to a carjacking charge. The Minister of Housing, Colin Crowell, announced that new housing schemes will be constructed in regions 3 to 7, while government-funded homes will be built in all 10 regions. Crowell stated that they've allocated 20,500 house lots since 2020. In addition to the 800 homes that were built in regions 3, 4, 6, and 10, the government also assigned 40 core homes and approved 302 applications for steel and cement subsidies. Crowell explained these activities benefited the very poor and vulnerable, and those who qualify for low, moderate, middle, and high-income homes. Last weekend, the Cummingsburg Accord officially came to an end, as the AFC has officially quit its coalition with APNU. Ramjatan said that their parliamentary relationship will revert to what it was pre-2015. He also said that the party would keep the 9 seats it has of the 31 opposition parliamentary seats allocated after the 2020 elections. This leaves APNU with 22 seats remaining. It's a new year. How about you make your truck run like new with Powered Automotive? Powered Automotive had truck parts and spares from all the major brands you know and love at prices you won't find anywhere else. Visit them at Lot 491 EE Eccles or call or WhatsApp them on telephone number 697-0171. Save big on truck parts at Powered Automotive, the #1 heavy-duty truck parts store in Guyana. You can multiply your cash by selling Digicel Top-Up. This is a legit way you can earn some extra money at your business or to supplement your current hustle. Become a top-up vendor quick and easy by linking with Cellular Plus. Call them on telephone number 685-3109 for more info. Guyana should be cautious with its spending despite favorable economic prospects due to anticipated oil reserves, as oil prices can be volatile, according to former Auditor General Anand Gulsaran. Guyana's loans from China are set to surpass those of Sri Lanka, which stands at around 20% and is now in a severe economic crisis due to the economic mismanagement and the pandemic. Sri Lanka, that is. In 2020, Guyana had 6 loans with the Exim Bank of China, totaling $240.45 million, representing 17.5% of the nation's external loan portfolio. In 2022, 7,000 residents gained access to clean drinking water for the first time, according to Sheikh Bash, GWI CEO. This marks a significant improvement in the government's goal of increasing water access to about 95% of the population by 2025. He reported that water access now stands at 97% along the coast and 75% in the hinterland. GWI's metering program has also been expanded, with the goal of installing 35,000 meters across the coastal belt in 2023. Sheikh Bash also responded to Glenn Law regarding the poor quality of water in Wekanam and Tushin. According to Lowell, it stinks like old rice paddies soaking in trench water. This water's so stinking dirty, you got to take a bath after taking a bath. However, Bosch said to blame it on the higher levels of iron content in the water on the coastal belt. He added that GWI has commissioned a $50 million well on Wakenham and is planning to construct a new water treatment plant there, as well as 30 new water treatment plants across the coastal belt. Hopefully that will help with the stinking dirty water over there. The Chedijagan Airport is set to get a new administration building and an airline office building as part of an expansion project. The project, which was started in 2013, also included the retrofitting of the superstructure to accommodate concession areas. The new administration building will cost $890.4 million and will be built by Avinash Contracting and Scrap Metal, while Calco Guyana will build the airline office building for $513.7 million. The expansion project was funded by the Exim Bank of China and the government of Guyana. Just more debts to China, I see. Now for today's oil update. The High Court is set to rule on the appeal against the approval of the National Resource Fund Bill on March 17, 2023. Opposition MP Christopher Jones and trade unionist Norris Witter have petitioned the High Court to challenge the constitutionality of the NRF Act, which was enacted by the National Assembly in December of 2021. The petitioners argue in their civil action that the parliamentary procedure required for the passing of the bill was not followed on the date in question, owing to the absence of the Speaker's mace. Manzoor Nadir, the Speaker of the House, had allowed the vote to proceed with a smaller substitute mace and conducted a news conference the next day to announce that the measure had been lawfully enacted.
As an independent online news entity, being politically objective can cost you a lot of money in lost sponsorship opportunities. That's because most local companies are often too scared to associate themselves with a news entity that is uncompromising with the truth. We do appreciate our sponsors, as their support is what has allowed us to maintain our integrity without fear and remain dedicated to you, our viewers. Every night, thousands of viewers rely on Uncut News because they are tired of the biased and poorly presented mainstream media in Guyana. But to truly compete, we need your help to grow Uncut News from being the most watched online news to the most watched news in Guyana, period. Help us by becoming a monthly subscriber today. There are special rewards at every subscription level, including your name in the credits, personalized gifts, and more. Your monthly contribution helps us to stay independent by spending less time worrying about paying the bills and more time on keeping you informed. So click the link in the description of this video and become a subscriber today.
Robbery season might be over, but the streets are still mean. That's why you need to get security for your home and business through Sheriff Security Service. Sheriff Security offers well-trained guards, armed and unarmed patrol, marine patrol, canine services. These people even got drones. Why? Because your security is their highest priority. You've seen the rest. Now hire the best. Hire Sheriff Security Service today. Now it's time to tell you about Best Buy's latest car on sale. Currently on sale is this 2016 Toyota Crown Athlete. It comes with Bluetooth mount rims, new tires, TV, CD, stereo, fog lamps, spot camera, and much, much more. Buy cash for $9.95 million. All pay as low as $1.99 million down, with around $170,000 monthly for 5 years, and it is yours. Call or WhatsApp 662-0844 for more info. Visit the showrooms at Lot 171 Peter Street, Queenstown, or Lot 2 Lama Street, and tell them that we can send you for this sweet deal. Now for our Uncut News Viewers Poll Question of the Day. Every day we pose a question about current events in Guyana, the region, the diaspora, and how you feel it is was. Last night I asked about masquerade, and I want to know what the government should do to try to preserve this. But before we get to that, I'd like to say a special thank you to our first paid contributor, David Griffith. Thank you, as your contribution helps us to bring you the news every evening. Jay Jairam says the government and opposition should set up workshops and training to preserve our masquerade and to preserve some of our traditions. You know, they came up with that idea in the last government, but, I don't know what happened to that. Tootie Dehan says knowing your ancestors' way of living will help them to know themselves better, and that is the first course in psychological awareness. As for me, considering each other as one Guyanese is the next big thing. You have to work on the top to the bottom. Also, start from preschool lessons. Barefoot Wanderer says it needs to be taught in schools of why we celebrate Mashramani, how and when independence was gained, who were involved. Is there an exhibit at the National Museum? No, there isn't, and I wish there was. Why don't Uncut Street Confessions ask the history questions on the street to truly show how many don't know the history? It's not just a party, there's a story behind why we celebrate Mashramani. Just say. You know, I like that idea. I'll be sure to pass it on to the guys over there at Street Confessions. Hopefully they can do a Mashramani-themed one like that. Now for tonight's question. According to Nandalal, GCOM is very unlikely to host the local government elections on March 13th. How do you feel about that? Do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing? Or do you think it's good as long as we're going to make sure we actually have democracy? And I just want to hear from you. So think about that question. Tell us in the comments below. If your response is good enough, we just might feature it in our next episode. Anyway, that's all the time we have for tonight, and check us out tomorrow for another. Until then, I'm Rico Bulford saying good night, folks.